Is Trump's calendar an absolute nightmare? It is. And are simultaneous multiple criminal trials even fair for him? I pose that question to you. Our next guest, however, was one of the few reporters in the media viewing room during the arraignment yesterday and walks us through how things went down from an eyewitness perspective. Let's welcome Steve Portnoy, ABC News national correspondent in D.C., back to WDLS. So what was it like from your perspective watching this go down in D.C. yesterday?
Well, it was highly dramatic, especially in the 20 minutes before it all started, when the former president sitting in a silent courtroom, flanked by his attorneys, looking around the room, basically fidgeting, twiddling his thumbs, waiting for the magistrate judge to arrive. And what was most interesting to us was to watch the former president look directly at the man who's bringing these charges against him, not just here in Washington, D.C., but also in South Florida. And that man is Jack Smith, the special counsel who was seated about 20 feet away from the former president, the position perpendicular. The former president was seated at the long defense table that was a rectangular table the long way, and he was sitting in the middle of it, perpendicular to the bench and perpendicular to spectators, and he was able, through his line of sight, to look directly at Smith. And it was very obvious to us that he was glaring at the special counsel for, it must have been only maybe 15 or 20 seconds, but you count out 15 or 20 seconds and you'll get a sense of just how long it was that Trump was staring right at him. On the whole,
was he mouthing the words? Was he mouthing the words, "You're fired"?
No, nor did he call him deranged or anything else that he said about Jack Smith on social media or at rallies during yesterday's arraignment. But when it was over, he told reporters that he believes he's being prosecuted because he's the leading Republican candidate to challenge Joe Biden for the White House. The arraignment itself lasted just under half an hour, and it was a straightforward legal process that looked like so many other arraignments that I've covered in my years as a reporter. The defendant swore to he swore that he would adhere to the terms of his release, which include a prohibition on having any conversations with anyone who might be called as a witness related to the facts of the case. This could be very difficult, by the way, for the former president to comply with because so many witnesses include people who are so close to him. Ivanka Trump, Jared Kushner were both called before the grand jury to testify. They might be called as witnesses in the trial. Mike Pence, the former vice president, was certainly called before the grand jury and certainly will be called as a witness. Might be easier for Trump to avoid talking to him.
Give me a sense of this calendar. It seems like an absolute nightmare for Trump and his defense team.
Well, and for those of us who are responsible for keeping tabs on all of it as well. Look, the former president now faces 3 pending criminal matters. He may soon face a 4th in the state of Georgia. His attorneys there said that they would appeal a court ruling having to do with their ability to challenge the district attorney and the special grand jury that she already had looking at this. The judge last week essentially laughed out of court the Trump attempt right now to get ahead of any potential charges that might be coming in Fulton County, Georgia. But look, there's a lot going on. The former president was told by the judge here in Washington this morning that he need not appear at the status hearing that is set to take place on August 28th. And it's toward the end of this month here in Washington, D.C., in the January 6th case having to do with the conspiracy to subvert democracy, that the judge will set a trial date. Between now and then, she's asked both sides to come to the table with their proposed calendar for that trial. The prosecution will offer a proposed trial date. The defense will respond, and both sides will air their views on how much time they think they need to prepare. Yesterday in court, the Trump defense lawyers said that they need plenty of time because the special counsel's been working on this for the better part of a year, and now the defense is just diving into it, and they need time to go through all the evidence and have it delivered up to the defense so that they can really get ready. It goes without saying that the Trump strategy here is to draw this out for as long as it takes because the former president wants to become the future president, and he has an interest in doing that because it's argued and said that if he becomes the next president of the United States, well, he has the constitutional power, at least in the federal system, to pardon himself, and he can appoint an attorney general who will move to dismiss this case. So he's focused on the calendar just as much as the prosecution is.
I imagine, too, Stephen, I imagine that all the witnesses that are going to be called that are on Jack Smith's list also have that in the back of their mind that if they're forced to testify and Trump becomes the president, they want to be able to say, hey, how about a pardon?
Well, I think you might be right about that. In fact, some of the witnesses who may be called apparently in the past have asked for pardons. I can think of, and these might be co-defendants ultimately in the end. I mean, Special Counsel Jack Smith has indicated that his investigation is ongoing. They're the unindicted co-conspirators who may find themselves subject to criminal charges before long.
Steven Portnoy, thank you very much. Have a terrific weekend, sir.